Hey guys, welcome to CoMA Pirate Radio, the voice of Center of Mystic Arts, where we as esoteric pirates slide our boats together, throw the ropes, tie the knots, and talk about the maps. We're gonna talk about the map first, and the knots. Why do we tie the knots? And the idea that a knot can hurt, right? If you feel a knot in your muscle, or if you've tied something too tight and you're trying to untie it. But if you talk to a shibari professional, you will learn that there's way to tie knots, and there's ways to, well, sometimes you have to have a knife to cut it loose really quickly if you need to disconnect. But esoterically, right, we're all on boats, so we all are floating on our own crazy emotions, and we slide them together so that we can communicate. And we tie the ropes so that the boats don't slide apart, so that we can stay focused, all right, and share what we learn. Now, as esoteric pirates, see, we have our own ships, we do it our own way, we don't like other people telling us how to do it. We're just sharing information so that we can possibly unite, right, energetically. It's not that I want everybody to get on my boat, right? And it's not that I think that everybody needs to get on one boat. It's that we're all on our own boats, and then we share information so that all of the boats can be focused on one thing. So says the cow. So the big things can happen, you know? So that big magic can happen. Now, one thing that I have found about the maps, and this was something that, like, anytime I'm confused, I really have to look at something to figure out, like, and digest it in my own way, okay? So, tropical, sidereal, Western, Vedic, like, why? Okay? I get that Vedic, when I first learned it, I thought that Vedic was older, and it kind of is. But the Vedic astrology doesn't include the outer planets because they couldn't see the outer planets. And the tropical, and they use sidereal, okay? The Vedic astrology uses the sidereal, which actually does account for the wobble. Now, the tropical, which was fixed into a calendar, I had to digest it in that 2,000 years ago, they wanted to fix time into a calendar, into little boxes, and have everything match up. So, for farmers, for religion, for work, there was a bunch of reasons, right? But it's 2,000 years old. And the thing, though, is that is the collective consciousness. The tropical zodiac is what the collectiveness is. What are you? What sun sign are you? More than likely, you're reading a tropical. I was Libra in the tropical zodiac. Always identified as Libra. Now, important thing to lean into is the difficulty of changing that. When you identify as one thing, I am Libra, it can be, not always, can be difficult for you to say, I am something else. This wraps up into ego death and the misunderstanding that I have found with ego death. It's wrapped up in death. All right, so let's discuss death. And two perspectives. One, that death is the end. When you die, ego death. There's nothing else, but that's not reality. Energy only changes forms. It doesn't. Anyway, there's a lot to that. But death is not an end. And I mean, okay, if that's what you believe, but that's, you either know truth or you don't know truth. Seriously, stop. Stop. So, when you know that the end, the Ouroboros, the end is only the beginning of something new, when you figure out that time is not linear, beginning, end, you realize that it loops. And now the puppies are going to start barking. Or, well, whatever they do, puppies. Anyway. You realize that ego death doesn't mean right? Like, it doesn't mean what you think it means. Or, well, you can change that perspective of understanding that the ego doesn't just die, it gets transformed, which is what is necessary for growth. The seed can't be a seed its entire existence. It has to blossom into the tree. So the sun being the center, the ego, by identifying and saying, I am Libra, and not taking into account that can change, you can see how hard it is to change. I've identified as Libra my entire life. And then I realized that, wait a second, that is in a tropical setting, 2,000 years old, and it didn't account for the wobble and the change and lots of different things. And then all of a sudden, it's not even accurate. I was born when the sun was, in fact, in the constellation of Virgo. Now it's hard. Well, now I'm Virgo. What was I before? There's the ego death, right? It's like, yes, that was me. It wasn't false. My identity as a Libra didn't just end. I no longer feel that I am actually. I mean, the truth of the matter is I understand now that I am at all, right? All the constellations, all the planets. So let's dive into Saturn. Oh, the lighting is terrible. Speaking of time, at the solar party paradigm, Saturn is the party planner. Okay? That's how this planet introduced, and she was a female when I met her, so I do tend to say the she pronouns. But she was, there was a lot that she transformed. She used to be a he. I was like, oh, you're a she now. Yes, okay. She identifies as a she now. And she also told me the reason for Anubis, because, you know, this is death. She's the harbinger of death, which is part of the dark side of Saturn. But also the boundaries and the rings and the, you know, and the time, the connection to time. Now, as the planner, you know, she's got this iPad in her hand and she was meticulously looking at everything. And she just, those boundaries, those rigid, she's the only planet with the structure and the discipline to actually plan it, right? A lot of the planets like Pluto and can just want to crash the party, right? Let's do it. Let's crash it, right? But Saturn brings it all together in a plan. Oh, back to the Anubis and back to death. Why is Anubis have a dog face, right? And all of the animals in the Egyptian paradigm have the different animals. And why? Because any shaman that can talk to an animal doesn't need a textbook, doesn't need anybody else to tell him, and not only that, can read it in their own way, what that animal means in your mind, on the mind of the body, of the human body. What does it mean to think like a dog? Oh, these are puppy dogs. These are little guys. Hey, both of you! They're fighting over a bone. As dogs do. Dogs can be fierce. They are very protective. But as far as death, would there be any other thing that you would want to greet you at the door of death than your best friend? Than the dog? Right? So anyway, right now, both calendars at this point agree, whether it's tropical or sidereal, because sometimes, timelines, they go like this sometimes. There's apps now that we can really literally, if you believe the app, of course, you can not believe anything if you don't want to believe anything, but there's apps that you can actually say, okay, NASA, what constellation is this planet in? And there's even a 13th constellation, Ophiuchus, is going in the solar party paradigm. It came to me just this past weekend. It was like, I got to be on the cards. You've got to put me in the cards. And I'm like, okay. These last, the original deck that I ordered, they're on sale, and there's only 50 of them left, and they're getting smaller, the numbers are getting smaller and smaller. Anyway, they're on sale. And then when I order these again, there's going to be some edits and some new cards, like the retrograde, like Ophiuchus. But anyway, Saturn is in Pisces right now and has been for a while, back and forth, retrograde, right? And so we want to paint the picture of what Saturn looks like so that we can not only, one, understand and paint a picture, because personifying has been a magical mental practice forever. We identify with something, therefore we can talk to it, communicate with it, right? And the old archetypes can be hard to identify with because they didn't have technology back then. Uranus didn't even exist back then. And neither did Pluto. They didn't even know that they were there. And now that we do, you can't just erase them. You know, nobody wants to erase technology. Even those of us who want to save nature. So says the party planner. We're not trying to... Oh my God, puppies! We're not trying to erase everything that we've built. But bad things are going to happen if we don't find balance again. And balance can be hard if you've ever tried to balance on a tightrope. You know, it's difficult. I have a really hard time doing it. And I identified as Libra for a long time, for 48 years. Okay? This party planner is in Pisces. She is an alien fish speaking in light language. Otherworldly, hypersensitive. Selfless, introspective, compassionate, introverted, secretive, intuitive. This archetype has the ability to bring everything together with the immense power of sacrificial love. Love. Let's dive into those two words. Sacrificial love. I will lay down on the altar. I will sacrifice my life for you. It's heavy shit. Now, she's been sitting in conjunction with Neptune at the bar, right? Sitting at the bar with Neptune for a while now. It's been like since July or something like that. And she's going to be there for a little while. Now, the bartender serving up the drinks, the plant medicine, you know, the elixirs that keep everyone. This is the keeper of the collective consciousness. Talk about the tropical zodiac being the collective consciousness. This is Neptune, the ocean, all of it combined. Now, we feel a sextile. I mean, for real. Sextile. Who's flirting with who? This is the energy of creation. I will create something new. I was just talking about Uranus. And yes, I will pronounce it as Uranus. The only planet that is showing his ass to everybody. Dramatically different axis. Right? The cosmic joke. The Joker. Very much so. The mystic. This is technology. And I asked Uranus. I asked your ass, for real. What was technology before technology? And I was given the answer. We're not going to have this kind of technology forever. It's not sustainable. I don't know how much longer, how much longer it's going to last. I don't know. Time. Doesn't feel like it's going to be very much more time. But time is relative. This is the craziest video ever. Anyway. And this is the tech guy. This is the one that's pressing record. Saturn is flirting with the camera. Of course. Now, best friends. Trine. That's what that feels like. I've got you. You are my best friend. If you need me, I will be there. Lilith. I mean, come on. That's my favorite best friend to have. Show me my shadows. Who else would you want to show you shadows other than your best friend? Your best friend is able to look at you and say, you've been complaining about that for years. Why don't you change it? Stop. Why don't you change it? Why don't you do something about it? You know, it's your best friend. Sacred sexuality. And also Jupiter. Now, I want Jupiter as my best friend too. Jupiter is the boss. The owner of the venue, you know. Saturn can sit at the bar with confidence that she gonna get paid. The boss is her best friend. I've got you. If you need some money, I mean, yeah, a best friend, like what real friends are. I'm not talking about the friend, the square friend that always is asking you for money. Or always asking for favors and never wants to give you any kind of compensation. I'm talking about the friend that's like, here's $20 because I love you. And I have it. Whoa. Whoa. Abundance. There's that square, that best friend that you need some therapy because you've been trying to use it as a wheel forever. And it's not a wheel, it's a square. It is used for building blocks, foundations. With the moon. What does Saturn see in the mirror? Right? What does she look like? Does she feel old? You know? And that's even more so with this opposition on the other side of the party of Venus. The youth. The beauty queen? We're talking about death here. We're talking about the grandmother. She doesn't feel beautiful. Through the collective consciousness, she's not beautiful. Because balance, death is necessary for balance. Because death is necessary for balance. And what is dying right now is nature. Wild animals and wild space. For the comforts of humans, that the populations are rising and rising and rising. Why? Because there is a war on death. Read it how you want to read it. Navigate the stars. But if you're an esoteric pirate and you're like, and you feel a little bit of righteous rage, you know, and you're okay with that, and you know that you do shadow work, and you're a little bit gangster maybe, you know, maybe you identify as a gangster Dakini, then you might want to check out, you know, my website, centerofmysticarts.com. You might want to check out these cards, Solar Party Paradigm cards. And I guess I'll pull a card. Now, this is just the bicycle deck. And yeah, we've got a Patreon. You might want to check out the Patreon. I'm going to be doing another Manuscripts of a Mystic where I share like my personal manuscripts on my Patreon. Okay. It's the last message, Saturn. Oh God. No freaking way. I did shuffle it. But this is the card that I pulled this morning for this spread. And I mean, you can call it as it is. Whatever. Maybe all cards are the same until you pull them. The Queen of Hearts. She's the queen. The beauty queen. And my ears just went woo, woo. Saturn's a beauty queen too in her own way. And in nature, in the wild, death isn't shoved in your face. I just want to say, in the wild, the things that die walk away from the crowd. They go in solitude to meet death. You know, it's not all up in your face sometimes. I mean, it can be. Oh, it can be. It can be. Anyway, please like and subscribe and share a comment would be great. And yeah, check out centermysticarts.com. Whether you're traveling physically or mentally, may it be in love and light and shadow. And don't forget your magic bag. It's full of everything you need. Until next time, ciao.